What is up, Blur YouTube and Smash World? Today, we're making a new Out of Focus to talk about the Free Melee movement. Free Melee, if you don't already know, is the hashtag that has been popularized both in 2013 when Nintendo first tried to shut down Evo 2013, and now more recently when they've come and hit Big House Online with a cease and desist order. In the last few days, we saw that a anonymous Smash account on Twitter posted an expose of sorts about Nintendo's various dealings in the community. Some of which may be true, some of which may not be. I didn't write it. I'm not going to verify any of it. But the general gist of it is frankly right. It is remarkably well researched. I'm pretty impressed. And the theme that's running in that post is that Nintendo has been a thorn in our side when trying to grow the Smash community. And if you've watched a lot of my content, you know that I've spoken about this before, that they've largely acted as a limit cap to how big we can be. Whenever we try to run events past a certain size, whenever a league tries to form up, a circuit tries to form up of any sort, whenever prize pools of large numbers come around, whenever big companies, sponsors, things like that are start to involve themselves, that's when they start getting in the way. And that's what's continually held us at the grassroots stage, despite having the viewership and attendance of much larger esports, far surpassing other esports in our same tier. And so this Free Melee movement came about, right? We're all fed up with it, and over the last few days, people have been letting their voice be heard, right? We have had multiple hashtags now trending on Twitter. We've been on the front page of /all on Reddit. This thing has blown up way beyond Evo 2013 ever did, frankly. Right? People are extremely mad about this, and rightfully so, as they should be. But to I think many people, it looks like aimless anger, and it looks like it's directionless. And I want to help people understand what the point of it all is. Why are we doing this? What is the goals, and what can we do in an actual manner to amplify this movement to be something that actually gives us our desired result. So what is the goal? What is the long-term goal of this entire project? And what do we want, right? Sadly, and I hate to say this actually, the long-term goal is to get Nintendo to leave us alone. There used to be a time, and I was very, I'm guilty of this, right? As much as anybody. Where we wanted Nintendo support or sponsorship. You know, you see Hungrybox on a mic talking about how much it would be awesome if Nintendo supported us. Those days are gone. Those dreams are dead. We are not going to revive them. We're not going to attempt to revive them. Whenever someone says something like that, it is your job to say no, emphatically, right? Because at this point, 20 years in, with this much evidence, it has been a very toxic relationship and has not helped us grow. That's just the bottom line. So this is a problem, right? Because ultimately what we're saying is if they leave us alone, then there will be no real official way for larger events which need licensing, like from larger companies, to really be able to make inroads. And that's just something we're going to have to accept. We're going to have to accept the fact that, well, we're not going to get what we want from our publisher. We're going to have to grow in other ways. That could be through documentaries, like the Metagame documentary coming out soon, slippy technological innovations like that as they continue to develop, and things like that. But the point is that on balance, this hasn't worked and has been so largely negative for us that we're just sort of fed up with it, right? So the long-term goal is not to seek their support, to be very clear. We don't want their money. In fact, we want the opposite of it. We just want to be left alone. We don't want any more CNDs. We just want to be able to operate as we always have, right? So that's the long-term goal. All right. So how do we get there on the short term, and what are like the next steps? What's the plan, right? Like we're complaining every day on Twitter, like how are we going to get there, right? So first and foremost, we have to announce some events, right? So there's LACS coming up. That's already been announced by Ludwig. We have to see if they will CND that event. We don't know, right? If they will. Hopefully they won't. I think with Charity involved and how much he's raised, I think it's in a good spot, but we'll see, right? So be prepared to defend that event. And when other events get announced, including ones that were previously partnered, right? Like the Genesis and the Shines, which apparently Nintendo already contacted, we need to be prepared to defend those events should they announce. We need to talk and talk to those TOs and convince them basically that, hey, don't be afraid. The community's got your back. Once we announce those events, let's say a CND does not come through, that means the PR backlash and the ruckus that's been made over the last few days accomplished something, right? It means that it's made the environment inhospitable enough that Nintendo does not want to face further PR backlash, right? Our goal isn't to take down Nintendo. We just want to make it so that when they CND us, there are at least some level of consequences, right? As in, it's a bad look, right? And overall, it makes their fans unhappy. The entire gaming community knows about it. We've been trending for multiple days now. It's not a good thing to do. Maybe they'll learn their lesson. Who knows, right? If those events get CND'd, maybe we have to alter our format for events, right? Maybe, okay, partnered events seem to be having a tough time running Slippy stuff. Maybe we, instead of running Shine 2020, we run Sparkle 2020, right? And sort of run it in a different way. Hey, it's not a Sparkle 2020 ain't partnered, right? And we move forward that way. Whatever it takes. We figure out unique ways to go about it, whether it's charity, whether it's rebranding, whether it's, putting other events that were otherwise large, standing them up, whatever it takes, we figure out where their boundary is, right? Basically, we know, for example, there are some boundaries. They're not CNDing Training Mode Tuesday or Polarity or Rona Rumble. Like those are operating. So they don't go after events of a certain size. They're going after the big events, right? And so we have to figure out what exactly is and isn't CNDable at the moment, right? Because we still want to run events. The worst thing we could do is not run events, right? So announcing events is a big part of what we have to do. And part of that is to continue making a ruckus. As in, make it so that they understand that people haven't forgotten about this, and make it so that they understand that stopping Smash tournaments is a big deal that a lot of people care about, right? So that's a large part of it. So short term, announce our big events, protect our big events, and continue to make a ruckus. That's a strong short-term goals. Also, in like the midterm goals, is we need to, if we're going to have the long-term goal of having Nintendo leave us alone, we have to leave them alone as well. That means no more accepting Nintendo partnerships. No TO should do that anymore, right? No more playing in Nintendo versus events. If they run an NA Online Open, do not enter. No more commentating Nintendo versus events. I don't care how much they pay you. If you're so desperate, commentate Brawlhalla. I don't give a damn. Do not commentate Nintendo versus events. And in general, no more collaboration. We need to stop giving them inroads into our scene. I know it sounds harsh, but I genuinely think the best strategy for anyone who goes out there and is playing buddy-buddy with Nintendo in 2020 and 2021, after all that's happened, is that we blackball them from grassroots events. I know it sounds harsh, but I do not think you should support events or people who are using their platform to grow and support a company that's been so bad to our community, right? We can't keep putting those people on a pedestal, growing their brand for them to just turn around and help Nintendo, right? That's not how it's going to work. And ultimately, like those faces being marketing tools for Nintendo, free marketing tools, and them being able to use the benefits of our community is part of why we're here in the first place, or at least that's what many people seem to think. So, as clear as I can be, there are consequences for everything that's happening here. It probably means that we can't be as big as we want to be, right? It's very unlikely at this point that a circuit or league is now going to be possible, because it's extremely hard to get those, because Nintendo shuts those down whenever we try. But look, that's fine. We've had 20 years without a freaking league. We'll move on. However, I honestly believe this. Maybe it's in the heat of the moment, but even if they come along with like a $1 million league, I want us to all be very skeptical and understand that we don't want to hand over the keys to the castle. They've been so bad to us for so long that I'm genuinely worried about them running the show at this point, right? So largely, I think that the themes here are that we can't play nice anymore. We tried playing nice. It's something that's my natural inclination as a human being. I want this to work out, but it hasn't. It just hasn't. And we've given up too much. We've sacrificed too much of our soul, and we've been hurt too many times, right? We have to make a clean separation. It's not going to happen if we keep working with them. It's not going to happen if we keep letting them get away with shutting things down, right? Privately, whenever something like that happens privately, expose it immediately, right? Let the world know. And when it happens publicly, vigorously defend it as a community, right? We need to be very, very unified on this front, right? So the people who say free melee has no point, it's aimless, there you have it. There are the points. We have a goal. There is some extremely actionable things that we need to do, and it's not going to happen overnight, right? This is a 20-year conflict. Don't expect it to be over anytime soon. And I'm not happy about it. Obviously, I've worked most of my adult life to make sure these moments didn't happen, but I think that we'll come out stronger as a result. I really do believe that the Smash community has proven itself extremely self-resilient, self-reliant, and very resilient as well to any sort of conflict. And hopefully, we can make it so that at the very least, they just stop C&D in us. At the very least, they just stop messing with our events. And then we can move on and we can play the game we all love and watch a beautiful documentary that's coming out soon. So, those are my thoughts. Free Melee, save Smash, all the jazz. To reiterate, I was not that tweet. I didn't write that tweet longer. I swear to you. I know I just stuttered while saying that. I swear to you I didn't do that. But, hashtag free it. Hashtag free melee. 420 free it. All right, peace.